Welcome back to another episode of We Talk Fit.
With Mish and Dean.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah. So let's have a little bit of a chat today about a little bit of a debate, cardio versus weights, and how there's still quite a big debate on whether one's better for you or not better for you, or people prefer to do one more than the other.
Yeah.
What's your sort of thoughts on cardio versus weights or both?
Same with most things. It depends on what your goals are, I guess, as well. If you don't have a specific goal or you're not an athlete, as in performing game day, those sorts of environments, then you could argue that you could get your cardio side of things into your weight sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll call it more like conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the whole purpose of cardio, we're trying to improve your cardiovascular fitness. Your ability to get out of breath and recover.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good skill to have. Like, doesn't matter if you're going out on game day.
Not even relation to sport. Just say you end up walking up some stairs and you don't want to be out of breath.
Yeah. So if you don't have like a sport at the weekend that requires you to run a 20-meter sprint over and over and over, then you don't necessarily need to be able to do that in day-to-day life. So you could make an argument that you could just get your cardio fitness built up within your resistance sessions, potentially. So my preference is obviously resistance training.
Mine too, yeah.
You would probably know better than me, like more recent studies and data on it. I believe it's slightly more metabolic. Obviously, it's going to depend on intensity and rep ranges and things like that. But I don't want to fall into the trap of going, oh, well, if you want to burn more calories, you have to do lighter weight and higher reps.
Yeah.
Because it's not that. It's the intensity that you take your body to that's going to induce that effect.
Yeah, that's still quite prominent, actually. Higher reps, more calories burned, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, no, I think you can get a lot of benefit out of a high intensity, not a high intensity, but a higher intensity resistance training. Like, especially if your goal is not to run a marathon.
Yeah.
So you can incorporate both in your training session, or you can do a little bit of cardio at the end of your workout session if you feel like you didn't do much intensity in that resistance training. But I think there's benefits to both. Like from 30 to 35, you start losing a bit of muscle mass. That's just the way our bodies are. That's data. So incorporating, your resistance training instead of just being a runner.
Yeah.
Or just being walking around the block or walking your dogs or anything like that.
That's a good point, actually. So, let's say you didn't have a preference, and you didn't err more towards one or the other, but you were an individual that was let's just use a runner, and I have nothing against runners, by the way. If that's what makes you feel good and you stay fit and healthy, cool. Okay. If you're only running, and let's put the exact same individual or like genetics and body type and all of those things was only resistance training with a nice balanced 3-day-a-week program, which would be the healthier individual?
It's a good question. I wouldn't actually even be able to say who is better. So
I guess we've obviously talked about what is health or what is fitness. So it depends what you're using as a marker.
Yep.
I would probably make a big push that, and again, I'm trying not to be too biased, but there's a lot of potential for repetitive strain injury if the only thing you're doing is running.
Yeah. You end up with like stress fractures and all sorts of stuff.
And your body is going to get real efficient at like the way that it uses and stores and uses fuel rather, for that running, depending on what distances you run and all those things. So that's going to affect your metabolism because it's going to get real efficient at storing enough to use at that intensity for that duration. which might mean that other tasks, like heavy things performed once or twice, might suffer for it.
Mhm.
So then you go to, I don't know, pick something heavy up off the floor, and you're either not capable or you're at potential of
injury or something like that. Yeah.
and I'm just thinking out loud here, but
Mhm.
like you flip it on its head and you go, okay, so you've performed resistance training, but we did say like a relatively balanced program. Now, you might not be the best runner if you had to suddenly go and do a run, but you have some capacity. Whereas the counter argument, if you only do running, I just think there's more potential for
better
injury.
adaptation.
Now, I'm not trying to say I have anything against running.
Well, running's quite good for your, for your bone structure and things like that with the impact through your skeletal system.
Yeah, okay.
So you've got that impact from running does help with your osteoclast, with building that and repairing bone.
Yep.
So you're less likely to end up with osteoporosis and things like that later down the line. But you can still get that adaptation with decent heavy weight training.
Yeah.
Putting that load through your back in a back squat or something like that, you could still get that. So you have good potential for both, but when you're starting to lose muscle mass as you get older, that's where resistance training comes in.
Yeah. So you say that it helps with like osteo issues, the running. So I guess it's relatively, supposedly gentle impact.
Depending on how people run, yes. Depending on their technique in their run.
I wonder what the trade-off is, as in like diminishing returns, because there's presumably an amount that's really good, and then after that, then you go over and above. Then that's where I was erring more towards like RSI stuff.
Yes, then you can overdo it and end up with like I mentioned before, like your stress fractures and things like that. There's was only last week before we had the half marathon or the city to serve and stuff like that. Only a couple of weeks before that, there was a kid training for it, and he had stress fractures all through his shins and all sorts of stuff. So you can go
too hard,
too much. Yeah,
but I guess you could do that in a gym as well, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I personally, I think a well-balanced program. So you could argue that a well-balanced resistance program would have an element of, like we've said, whether it's conditioning or cardio in it anyway. So I think you could tick more boxes if we're just saying cardio versus weights. I think you can tick more boxes for holistic health with weights, because you could add in conditioning type exercises at higher rep ranges, which are still loaded. So you're still getting the benefit of your body being under load, but also getting your heart rate up.
And then session. Yeah. And then you're also thinking about time. So not everyone has 2 hours a day. Go and do a run for an hour, say. That's a long time. But a run for an hour and then go and do a weight session for an hour.
Yeah.
And then you get the overtraining as well. So by incorporating both into one session.
Yesterday. Ended up doing that yesterday. So I did my
training and
I did my intervals, my sprints, which is like 20 minutes. And because I didn't get my session in, my weight session in, I did like some of it in the morning, like a little bit of it in the morning. And I did my sprints yesterday over at 4-ish and finished my upper body session after. And that was interesting because you're so taxed.
Yeah.
And like you're so out of breath that it affects, like, even just trying to brace and be in the right position. I was doing like, it's kind of like chest and shoulders essentially.
Yep.
Just trying to get into that right position for a good chest press. But your rib cage is like still recovering from the running, so you want to be drawn in, but you're trying to open it up.
Yeah.
So they definitely affect each other. But I've got clients that like will be super capable with the weights and that side of stuff, and I've had to like carefully and they're like, I don't like cardio. Don't put me on a treadmill. Don't do this. No one likes cardio. Unless you're a sadist.
I secretly.
But like I've had to gently introduce some of that stuff, make them uncomfortable, where they've gone like, holy smokes, like this is, they're full on, they're out of breath. And then I've taught them that like we said at the start, the ability to get out of breath and recover. You can take that skill into a deadlift or a squat. If you're not able to control your breathing and brace because your cardio fitness is horrendous, then your squat's going to suffer for it, or your deadlift's going to suffer, or even your bench and stuff.
Yeah.
Or any high intensity, heavy weighted exercise, really. So the two help each other.
It's not one versus the other.
I just think if there's clients, because there's clearly clients still out there that like are looking at old, what would you call them? Like old wives' tales. Like, I want to get my body to be like this, so I have to do this type of training, and that's where I have a bit of an issue with it.
Yeah, it's still a lot of those old myths are still very prevalent with ages out there, but probably that 35 plus, 40 plus mark.
Yeah.
Don't want to look bulky, blah blah blah. Those sort of just tone. I don't want to put muscle on, don't want to look bulky, don't want to look like a bodybuilder. That sort of is still very out there with their resistance training. So they're still very much the cardio.
I wonder how many people will start a weights program and say, I don't want to look too bulky, or I don't want to look like a bodybuilder, compared to all of the ones that do want to look like a bodybuilder and haven't got anywhere near looking like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Not through lack of trying. They would be interested to balance the numbers up and say, you know what I mean?
It's a lot harder than what you think.
Yeah. There's loads of good memes about it, isn't there? It's like getting into a car and going, I don't want to drive too fast because I don't want to end up being like a Formula One driver.
Yeah, I still love that one.
It ain't that easy, mate.
Yeah.
We try really hard and it ain't that easy.
Yeah.
No, so I think I would like to not make it an argument between the two. But if I was forced between cardio and weights, but if I was forced to, I'd err more towards weights with a further conditioning.
In it, yeah.
Hidden in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I hide it with my clients, some of the stuff that I do. It could be some kettlebell swings or some med ball slams or something like that gets them heart rate up, gets them moving, gets them a bit puffed. And then it's not just on a treadmill, it's not just, going for a run or a bike, or it gets that happening, and then the recovery from that benefits.
And then also when we use the word cardio, or people use the word cardio, they don't understand that there's different methods of that as well. And quite often, if we use the typical example of a weight loss goal or something, there's a lot of people still think, look, I have to get in the gym and I have to kill myself with cardio to the point where I hate training and I hate being in the gym. It's just horrible. Now that's a different thing. We've talked about training yourself to get uncomfortable and stuff. That's a different thing to the weight loss side of it, because we would call that steady state cardio. Or just generally increasing, if it's not going to be in a gym environment, just generally increasing daily activity, non-exercise.
Daily movement, yeah. Incidental activity, yeah.
Was it non-exercise activity thermogenesis? So what you do on a daily basis at a relatively steady level, increasing that is what's going to burn way more calories than just that high intensity stuff. Yeah. We talked about last week with the recovery stuff and about the car analogy and stuff. I think I made a joke about the hybrid vehicle, but that's the way I explain on a very basic level the metabolism side of stuff with clients, about if they're trying to burn body fat, so stored fuel, they have to make the machine operate in a way that it biases that fuel source over the other fuel source. Because if you're going at real high intensity, look, it's going to burn some body fat, but it's going to prefer to have really quick, readily available fuel, which is your carbs.
Yeah.
If you're looking to burn already stored energy, body fat, we want it to operate at like 80% max heart rate, 70-80%,
Yeah.
depending on the person.
Yeah.
Which is like we call steady state.
Steady state. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that side of cardio as well. That's probably we don't want to neglect in this conversation.
No, you're probably right with that one. I mean, when I've gone through deficit points and things like that with my so food sources and things like that, make sure that I'm eating in a deficit and incorporating cardio. The easiest way for me to do it is to do a bit of steady state and a couple of HIIT sessions a week, and that's increasing my movement ability.
Yeah.
So
So you're turning one dial up of many different things.
Yeah, a lot of the times, being at uni and things, I'm sitting the whole time. I'm studying, I'm getting things like that. So increasing my daily activity, going for a walk can be quite hard time wise for me. So then I'll be getting on a treadmill or getting on a bike and doing 20 minutes before and after my training session, or doing a HIIT session twice a week, some sprints on a bike, something like that, is more beneficial for my time for increasing my output.
So that's when you started looking into, like, you've got this schedule, and obviously everybody has crazy schedules, and you're looking at, you've got a couple of boxes or a few boxes you want to try and tick, and you're already starting to put some form of structure into that. It sounds like we're bleating on about programming all the time, but look, that's what we do. So it's always going to more or less come back to that. And that's when people say, oh, what should I do, like, to fit into, like, I've got a week, but I've got 3 hours a week where I can train. What should I do?
Yeah.
How do I balance like a schedule of workouts?
Yeah, which comes into your different training splits.
So we're trying to work out, okay, so we've got these boxes we want to tick. So like general functional movement patterns. We've got like some cardiovascular fitness. We've got some steady state cardios for the metabolic response. That's what we're doing. We're doing the same thing as we're looking through all these boxes and going, right, how do we implement that one? We look at that big picture and then go, okay, break it down into 1, 2, 3 sessions a week. The answer is, like, the best programs, whatever works with your schedule. So I learned relatively quickly, like, I would have a plan that I would want a client to meet. And if it was just because I could see they were capable of it, this is what the goal was, I would wholeheartedly put everything behind it, saying that's a good program to get you where you want to be.
Yeah.
However, let's just say it was 4 sessions a week and they were always going to struggle with that 4th session.
Yeah.
Then it's way better to go, no, we're going to nail 3 sessions.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the view to building enough commitment, discipline, confidence, reward for effort, so that they might add that 4th session in or whatever. But yeah, so the best split would be the one that ticks as many boxes as possible, depending on your goals, but fits with your schedule.
Yeah. It's never going to work if it doesn't fit with your schedule at the end of the day.
So if you were going...
You could do the best plan in the world and it could suit them, like you say, like perfectly for what they want to achieve.
Yeah.
Like, if you do this, this is going to get you here by this time, as long as you follow it. But if they can't follow it because their schedule doesn't allow it, it's a shit plan. It's not a great plan at the end of the day, because it doesn't suit them. It doesn't work. So then you're going, well, that's a pointless plan for you. So you go, right, well, the client needs the 3 days, 4 days, whatever it is. Set that up first. They're like, okay, cool. I've actually just school sports, if they're a mum or a dad, they've just finished. Or
so I've already had that
sports.
Conversation with people that are finishing their sporting seasons now, like parents going, oh, can we increase this? Can we do this? Yeah,
I've got more time now. I can make that work. Let's add that 4th, 5th session in.
Yeah.
So then, yep, cool, no worries. Now it works.
Yeah.
Now that suits you. Yeah.
So if you were going, just put you on the spot here. So if you had a client that had, doesn't really matter, male or female-ish. So you've got a client that's got no injuries, no issues that would hold them back from specific movements. Relatively decent range of motion in most directions, no limiting factors. They want to get strong, the 40, okay? There you go, I'm trying to think this out loud. They want to just get strong and be really like functionally healthy. Got 2 kids, 8 and 10, that are quite busy and sporty, so they want to just be able to knock around with them. No like specifics. What would you try and get into? And they've got, I don't know, let's say 3 hours a week to train. How would you write a program for them, or where would you start learning the
Beginner.
groundwork? So they've been in a gym before, haven't trained for a couple of years.
So depending on their ability and what exercises they can do, we've sort of discussed this before, I'd incorporate core movements first, so compound moves that utilize the time the best. So your squats, your deadlift, your bench on those different days.
So
and then
split those 3 movements up.
Yep.
Yep.
And then have and work your larger muscle groups first. Cross joint movements and things like that we can sort of incorporate before anything else, and then have your accessory work and things around that, basically,
to support those bigger movements.
Yep.
Yeah. So
it might be a deadlift variation or something like that as well, depending on their, you said, relatively good.
Yeah, and it's hard because I'm giving you something like that you haven't seen, and you're trying to work a program out on what you haven't seen. Sometimes it's hard enough program for someone that's right in front of you.
But yeah, so those movements or variations of those movements to start with, and then build them up.
Yeah.
From there.
And in doing, like, that's how I would program as well. So, like, in going with the bigger moves, let's just say they can perform those with no
problem,
big problems.
Yeah.
But you'll spot minor things, and that's where your accessory work becomes so important.
Yeah, there might be you might have valgus knee or something like that, so your knee coming in or whatever when you're doing your squat. So then you work on strength around that in your accessory work. But yeah, basically
you can translate that back to life as well. So if you're teaching someone to deadlift, and there's no real issues with the deadlift, but when it gets to a certain, let's just say it's a certain load, and I'm not talking silly heavy, like 2 times body weight or whatever. Let's just say it's body weight, and they've got tweaks here and there. Those are good things to pick up on in this safe environment, because that's what's going to happen when they go and pick someone up, like a kid up, or they're playing sport with a kid or whatever, and they pick something up. Like, those are the things that you can pick up in a safe environment, work on, and try and catch before. Or
even people just moving furniture around the house.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, just functional movements that you do. Well, that might be a spring clean that they're doing, but you're moving couches out and putting them back, or your TV cabinet out.
That's and not to say like.
So yeah, you do it and get nice and strong and whatever in the gym.
Capable.
And then you're less likely to injure yourself in those moments.
That's not to say that like accidents won't happen. Like, I had a younger member yesterday, or younger client, that had to cancel the session because they dropped a washing machine on their toe. It's like, that shit's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. Accidents are gonna happen.
Yeah.
But probably wouldn't have picked the washing machine up in the first place if it wasn't for me. So I'm probably to blame.
If you put it that way.
But I'd go that way as well. Like, if most people should be able to find time for 3 sessions a week, and if you could make that work, then you can tick a lot of boxes.
Yeah, and that comes back to your incorporating. If you've only got those 3 hours, you can incorporate a bit of that cardiovascular conditioning into those sessions as well, which then helps them keep up with their kids, if that's what their aim was.
So I've hidden some cardio conditioning work in clients that love the big heavy movements, like with things like kettlebell swings.
Yeah.
So like they don't
Yeah.
realize I'm working on the hip hinge prior to them doing a deadlift. Or I might have explained it if I trust them with that information, but like we'll hide things like slams and kettlebell swings, and we're hiding the hinge movements whilst conditioning them, whilst getting the heart rate up, building their recovery. But I'm not telling them to do sprints when they don't really want to.